How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. This video is about some of the mistakes that you can avoid when quitting alcohol. The first mistake to avoid is to understand that this is not about the alcohol. You know, alcohol is very little to do with this. Alcohol is the vehicle by which you get to the end result that you want, right? Which is whatever it is, relaxation, socializing, blah, 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 whatever, right? Alcohol is nothing more than an inert liquid in a bottle, right? It's nothing more than something which will sit on the shelf and it will sit there forever until the shelf falls down or the house falls down around it and the bottle smashes and the alcohol seeps into the ground, right? The alcohol will stay in that bottle, right? It cannot jump out of the bottle and go into your mouth, right? It cannot make you drink the alcohol. It cannot send out telepathic thoughts for you to drink the alcohol. It can't do any of that stuff. In order for you to drink this stuff, you have got to literally pick up the bottle, unscrew it, pour it out, and take one sip, and swallow that sip, and then do that repeatedly over and over and over again, thousands and thousands of times, in order for you to get to the stage where you are now. How many hundreds of thousands of sips of alcohol did I take in my 35 years of drinking? You know, think about that. And each one of those sips that you've ever taken has been under your own volition. You have deliberately taken every one of those sips. You've deliberately lifted the glass. You've deliberately poured the alcohol into your mouth, and you've deliberately swallowed. And you've paid for the privilege of doing it over and over and over again. So it's nothing to do with the alcohol, because if it wasn't for the alcohol, it could have been anything else. It could have been another problem, right? It could have been another drug. It could have been heroin. It could have been cocaine. What this is all about is it's your behavior. It's the behavior of you lifting the glass and taking that instant gratification way out, right? Taking the easy route out of your problems, right? Taking the easy route out of socializing, of relaxation, right? It's down to you. It's 100% your responsibility. So don't look at the alcohol like it's a demon, like it's got any power over you whatsoever. The only power that alcohol has over you is when you lift it up and you give it the power by putting it inside your body. Only when it's inside your body does it have that power. Mistake number 2 is that people listen to the gremlin inside their heads, right? Listen to that part of them that makes the excuses for them drinking, right? That makes the excuses for them to moderate, and to think that moderation is a good thing to have, right? That they can moderate and there's going to be no problems. And you know, once they get further and further into this journey, that their abilities to moderate, because they've quit drinking for a month or 2 months, that they can now go back and moderate their drinking. Is by giving this inner voice more power than it should have, right? Because at the end of the day, this inner voice is you. It's a part of your of what you say to yourself. So the mistake is to, first of all, think that the voice is anything that is separate from you. You can name it and say, well, yeah, it's a part of me, it's the gremlin, it's the horrible little thing inside of me that I'm watching die, and it's part of the behavior. It's the part of the alcohol drinking behavior that I want to get rid of. It's part of the habit that I want to get rid of. But at the end of the day, it is you. It is a part of you, and the only way that gremlin is going to be diminished or destroyed is if you decide to do it, right? You have to take the responsibility for doing that. You have to make the commitment to doing that, and you have to do it bit by bit by bit, and slowly but surely you unweave its hold on you by refusing to give in, by refusing to listen to that part of yourself that is trying to get you to go back, that is telling you that what you're doing is too hard and that you're never going to be able to achieve it. So don't listen to the gremlin. It's a big mistake. Mistake number 3 is to treat your quit drinking as a loss, like you have lost a friend, like you're mourning somebody or something that has had some great impact on your life. Alcohol has had an impact on your life, all right, but it's generally an impact which has been very detrimental to you, to both your physical and your mental health. You think of any area in your life which alcohol hasn't had a detrimental impact. Almost in every case, it's the longer you drink, the more the alcohol behavior has stretched its tendrils out and has enveloped many more areas of your life. So don't mourn the loss of this as a friend. This is your enemy. This behavior is something that you need to strip out and be ruthless, and don't show any mercy or any pity about a behavior which will eventually and would have eventually led to your illness and eventual early death. Another mistake that people make is just not preparing. You wouldn't do most important things in your life without at least doing some form of preparation, right? Even going away on a simple vacation requires a lot of preparation in advance. Planning what you're going to do, planning where you're going to go, where you're going to stay, how you're going to get there, what you're going to do when you get there. All of this requires some thinking and preparation. Now what you're doing now, the actual quitting drinking part is easy. It's simple, right? You don't put any alcohol into your mouth anymore. And it's as simple as that. If you do that and you never put any alcohol in again, you've quit drinking, right? Nothing can be more simpler than that. And you don't have to do any planning for that, right? But the problem is that it's the behavior itself which you've got to extricate, right? Which you've got to deconstruct, right? And it's in this deconstruction that it's going to take time, and you need to plan, because when you get to the end of the day, right, and you would normally drink, what are you going to do then? Are you going to arrive at that end of the day? You're going to go into your normal mode where you would normally drink, but you have no drink. And you're going to think then, while you're under pressure and while you're having this discomfort, exactly what you're going to do. That's a mistake, right? You should think about these things while you're not under the discomfort, right? While you're not under the pressure, while your head is straight, while you've got that determination and that commitment to quit, and to think, right, I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to do something completely different. You need to prepare not only your environment, you need to prepare your mind first and foremost, because that's where all your decisions are made. This is where all your choices are made. And it's where you're going to win or you're going to lose this battle. You need to prepare your environment, and you need to also prepare the people that are closest to you in your life, because they need to understand exactly what's going to happen as well, right? And we'll talk about that in another video, but that's important. So if you don't prepare these things, then you're a lot less likely to fail. So think about all the areas that you're likely to put yourself into. Think about all the areas where you would otherwise drink, all the situations that you would drink, all the triggers that trigger you to make you drink, and make sure that you prepare. And preparation from another perspective is also about trying to figure out what you're going to do that's going to pull you away from the alcohol drinking behavior, right? So that you're not left in a vacuum. There is no such thing as a behavioral vacuum. So if you try and leave the vacuum of, if you try and leave the behavior of drinking behind you and you don't replace it with anything else, what are you going to fill it with? What are you likely to fill it with? You're likely to fill it with the alcohol again, and to give in and go, I don't know what else I can do with my life, It's because of poor planning that kind of thing happens. So it's a mistake not to plan. So get a plan ready. Plan before you start. Plan what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, who you're going to do it with, all that kind of stuff. The next mistake that people make is in believing that somebody or something outside of themselves is going to save them, right? That they can take a course, right? They can read a book, right? Or they can talk to somebody, and automatically it's going to change something in their lives which shoots them down a different direction and makes it easy for them to quit. It's just not the way that this happens. As I said, this is a massive journey ahead of you, right? It's not a massive journey of discomfort. The discomfort only happens at the beginning, right? If you allow that, right? If you get yourself into the right frame of mind and you focus your mind on the future instead of the past, right? On something that you want to achieve in your life instead of something that you want to leave behind, the alcohol drinking, right? Then that will drive you forwards. It will give you lots of momentum, and it will be a pleasure to live your life, right? It will be a pleasure to push yourself and to have that toughness about yourself, that mental resilience. If you, on the other hand, decide that you're going to focus all your attention on what you're missing out, as I say, mourning the loss of a dear friend, a companion, this divorce that people talk about, that it's like having a divorce from somebody that they were with, they loved and they hated them at the same time. This is setting yourself up for a lifetime of misery, because you're never leaving the alcohol behind you. You're never leaving that behavior behind you, right? You're all the time pining for something that you cannot have, right? It's the same thing with moderation. People try and moderate, and the only way to moderate is to say, I'm going to have the minimum amount of alcohol which is healthy for me, right? Which is 2 pints or whatever, 2 drinks, right? And what happens is at the end of the 2 drinks, they want more, and they might last with this 2 drink threshold for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is. But all the time they want more. They want to get back to where they were before, getting drunk, of having that buzz of getting drunk. And you cannot get the buzz of getting drunk with just 2. If you quit drinking for a year, let's say, and you went back on the alcohol after a year, then yes, you would get a buzz out of 2 pints. But how long would that last? Your habit has got a memory, your body's got a memory for this kind of stuff. And it won't be long before your tolerance levels are back to the same tolerance levels that they were before. So, that's why moderation doesn't work. It's because we've got a psychological need to try and get to the place that we were before, this yearning, a craving to get to that old behavior. This is why we used to drink. I always say that I never drank for the taste of alcohol because I never liked the taste of alcohol. Why would you drink something which tastes, frankly, horrible, right? It doesn't taste nice at all. It takes a long time before you even acquire that taste to tolerate it. And you only tolerate the taste in order to get past to what the alcohol offers you, which is the buzz, right? So remember that you need to put the hard work in, right, in the early days. You need to put the hard work into discipline yourself enough to get through the first month, through the first 30 days, or through the first 60 days or 90 days. And then you need to have the discipline to pursue the dreams that you want to have, the dreams that you want to attain in your life, and keep pushing and pushing and pushing yourself until you get to those dreams, right? Nobody outside is going to help you do that. Nobody outside is going to do that for you, let's say. I mean, you can get help from other people by listening to other people. You can get help by people saying to you, this is a good direction for you to follow, right? And you can get help, whether that's in person with somebody reading books, taking video courses, listening to audio books, whatever it is that inspires you. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to do the press-ups for you. If you want to build good, strong arms, you've got to physically go in day after day after day and pump iron or do press-ups. If you want to lose 20 pounds, it's you that has to physically not put the food inside your body. You have to reduce the calories going in and increase the expenditure of calories going out. That's the only way that you can do this. It's physically impossible to do it any other way. People look for shortcuts and they say, well, I'll go in and get the fat sucked out of me. But what does that do? It only, like they say, there's an old saying that says, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And it's the same thing with this, If I teach you a trick to overcome your alcohol addiction now, right? If I give you a medication, say a pill, and say take this and you won't have any cravings, what happens? You don't have any cravings at the moment, right, when you take the medication. But once you stop taking the medication, all the cravings come back. You see this over and over again with people who have swapped their cigarette addiction for their e-cigarette addiction. So they swapped one addiction to the other, and they'll say, well, there's no nicotine in it, so I'm still doing it. There's no nicotine in it, so I'm not addicted to it anymore. I say, well, why are you doing it? It's not natural. You're paying out good money to do this. Why are you doing this? And you look into their eyes, and you can tell by the way that they look that they really don't want to be doing this, that they would much rather be smoking the cigarettes. It's because they haven't dealt with the addiction, they haven't dealt with the behavior. They've tried to shortcut it, and in doing so, they haven't achieved anything. They've just achieved misery. Whereas if you put up with the discomfort that is inevitable in quitting drinking alcohol, no doubt about that, if you work yourself forward, if you have a plan, you push yourself forward in the right direction, right, then you're building resilience, you're building distance between you and the habit, right? You're not trying to uphold the habit, you're not trying to give the habit crutches. You're trying to destroy the habit and leave the habit behind you as far as you can. And once you do that, then you're well on your way to destroying the habit and living a good life, the life that you want to live. And that brings me on to my next point, which is that it's a mistake to think that quitting drinking alcohol is enough, that just getting the alcohol out of your system is enough, that stopping drinking and never drinking again is enough. It's not. You need to build on that. You need to, as I say, put as much distance between you and who you are now and the behaviors that you have now, that alcohol drinking behavior that you have now, and the person that you want to be. And that is my message, is to replace, right? Because if you don't replace, you're always going to be pining. As I say, you're going to be craving for the old habit because there's a big gap in your life that used to be filled by alcohol. And no matter how poisonous that alcohol was to you, it was still something that was giving you something positive. Now, it might have only been positive in a very small way and offered you a massive amount of negativity, but we take it. That's what it's all about. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, my name is Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. If you have any questions at all, send me an email to kevin@alcoholmastery.com. Until next time, take care. Keep the alcohol out of your mouth and stay safe. Onwards and upwards.